welcome back to the Lizzabitty channel. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. Remember, if you have not liked this video, please do so now. If you are not subscribed to this channel, please do so now. Black diasporans in the United States every day are under the duress of those other folks. Every day. You know who those other folks are. Why is that an issue? It's in peril. So when we think about the draconian 3-strike you're out laws that were in place by the current person who is running for the #1 seat in the land there, because he initiated this. This was done, of course, not only with him, but let's move forward to the 1980s when you had this war on drugs. I am not a proponent of drugs, never have been. So black persons were being imprisoned in large numbers. During the time of the 94 crime bill, this is how you got to your 3 strikes, you're out. When people who look like me begin to cry out about these ridiculous sentences that people were getting just for, let's say, stealing a bottle of soda, but because they had already had 2 infractions, now they must go to prison for life, it made no sense. Primarily because they had privatized prisons in the United States. This was a way, according to the Constitution, you can get free slave labor. Yes, it's legal. When black diasporans in the United States were dealing with an unprecedented amount of mental illness cases and were asking for help, with good diagnoses, trying to get more persons that look like me into the field of psychiatry. All of this, even with our children who were being railroaded into special education in large droves. And in that you had naivete parents saying, well, I'll get a check. You do. This is a lifelong badge on a kid. When all of this was going on, and we were trying to seek some type of refuge for our people, for help, the powers that be shunned us and sunned us right over here into a corner. You know, a lot of times when black men were being beaten and they had brutality claims by the police, these cries were going against everything and falling on what? Deaf ears. Fast forward to now. The same person who is trying to vie for the #1 office in the land co-signed foolishness about his people's contentions with meth abuse and how people are dying from meth addiction, people that look like him, in droves. And it wasn't only him. It was a lot of these people that you all play coy with and say, oh, I'm going to get them into office. Yeah. At the same time, our brothers and sisters are still in prison behind the 94 crime bill. Yep. Some of them were addicts as well. But they got caught up because, yes, they were doing petty crimes, and some of them were doing felonious crimes to feed their addictions. They were. I am not oblivious to that. Everyone in America who looks like me probably has been touched by that by someone in their family. When it comes to that other guy, and when we talk about dealing with mental health, mental illness, it's always been a push to get people medicated and get diagnosed, proper diagnosing, etc. And typically they don't wind up deceased at the hands of the police. But for us, we have numerous cases on record, numerous, of a person being mentally ill and not even medicated, and they are shot down by the police. What am I getting at? What I am getting at is that change has never come when it truly, truly affects us. It only comes when it affects them vis-a-vis monetarily, or they're trying to get eyes worldwide on a problem that they themselves have created, garnered, generated. Here's the point to those of you who are watching. You're wondering as you're watching this video, should I think about moving to Alkebulan? This is what your contention is. You're pondering this right now. You're wondering, this lady is cuckoo. All these other people who are talking about this, they cannot be telling the truth. The truth is that the black man in America is in constant fear, and so is the black woman. They're in constant fear that the smallest infraction of their life could possibly end their lives. This is a daily struggle for millions and millions of black people. Some of us are not going to admit that they are in fear of this because they're trying to get on the status quo. I am not oblivious to some of the things that are plaguing brothers and sisters on Alkebulan. I would be telling you a lie if I did. But let's be brutally honest here today. Would you rather live amongst your own and have far less infractions amongst your own than to live in a land where you're basically being hunted as in the most dangerous game, where they continue to change the goal? I'll give you an example. When they began to link retirement plans to the stock market, people started doing what? Losing money, not being able to sustain themselves right when they're at the retirement age. Again, you keep changing the goal. You keep changing it. I didn't ask you for it, but someone who has more authority and power over these things, i.e. government, have deemed this to be the way. And yet every time there's an election, you run right down there and you vote for these people in. You vote for them to be in office. Okay? Think about this. Persons who are married, senior citizens, and then their spouse perishes. The government tells them, well, you can only have one Social Security check. We will give you the one that's the most. Why? Why? So now I have to determine my budget off of, let's say, $1,200 a month. Well, if I had had my husband's and mine, it could be $3,000 a month. But yet you for the American people. I'm going to say this again to you. Make a decision. Make a decision. But remember, Alkebulan needs people who are going to do right by her. We don't need people who are going to continue to take. We need givers. It should be reciprocal in all ways. Reciprocal. I want you to do an analysis to see how best this is going to suit you. How best it's going to suit you and your family. Make a determination. And if you're with it, be in it to win it. Be in it to win it. Lizzabitty.